8:19 right now. Rob Crain, kind enough to carve out a couple of minutes with us. He's an attorney at Crain, Lewis and Brogdon, nationally renowned personal injury attorney. And we thought we'd bring him on to help us on this lawsuit that's been filed by the parents of two victims of Benghazi, the parents of Sean Smith and Tyrone Woods. And in this lawsuit, this wrongful death lawsuit, they filed it Monday in federal court. They claim that Clinton's use of a private email server contributed to the attacks. They also accuse her of defaming them in public statements. Let's start with the accusation about the private email server and its contribution, Rob. Anything to this? Does this have any validity?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. This CIA director, Jim Comey, when he gave his press conference, made it clear that they didn't have any evidence that her use of a private email server was utilized by any terrorist groups, including ISIS. This is a lawsuit that is filed by Freedom Watch. It's a political era. It's a group that obviously has a political bent. So I've not seen anything. There's not been any factual statements inside the lawsuit that indicate anything new. So unless they've got a smoking gun somewhere that no one's heard about yet, there doesn't appear to be any linkage between the email server and the attack in Benghazi.
What about James Comey's line where he said that it was possible that hostile actors gained access to her server? Is that what they're jumping on, you think?
Absolutely. And Director Comey, I think, did, and as a personal opinion, obviously, I think he did an admirable job in difficult circumstances, and he's been serving our country quite a while. And he left it open. He said, we don't have any direct evidence that this is what happened, but it is possible that this use of this server that doesn't have some of the most basic protections that you could get, just using Gmail, that it's possible that they did have access to it, but there's been no evidence that the CIA had that it actually happened.
Yeah, because now we're starting. Go ahead.
In court, you've got a burden of proof, and she's brought the lawsuit. He's brought the lawsuit. They have the burden of proving more likely than not that's what happened. So the burden is on the people bringing the lawsuit, and that's what will make it difficult for them.
Will they use what we're hearing out of Iran now, the scientist who was killed, who at one point was welcomed back into the country, then was sentenced to prison term, and now people are pointing to those emails from Hillary and saying, hey, that they gained access to those emails, learned more about what that spy or scientist was giving to the U.S., and that resulted in his execution. Could they use that as well?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I'm not as familiar with the updates on that spy who I recognize was hanged this past weekend. Right. But they, I'm sure in this highly political climate, as we're going into a presidential election, there's going to be as much as there has been interest in her emails and the compromising of security those emails may have presented. And I think, what you saw in the Democratic National Convention with the Gold Star family of the Muslim military individual who was killed, I feel like the individuals here, one of whom also spoke at the Republican National Convention, feel as if there's been a double standard, that Mr. Trump has received a lot of criticism for his response to the Khan family, and they feel like Mrs. Clinton should also have the same scrutiny that Mr. Trump has. And I think that's what you're seeing here. Whenever you have a group like Freedom Watch, and again, it's on both sides, left and right, this is going to be politically driven in many ways, and that's what it appears to be. 10
seconds, the defamation side of it. Any chance on that at all?
Based on the statements I've seen so far, no.
Okay.
Defamation is a very difficult burden to prove.
All right, Rob Crain, as always, thanks for the time. Thanks for the insight.